Hey nerds, today we're diving into the mind of our favorite photonic cadet. We're reviewing Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1, Episode 5, Series Acclimation Mil. Sam takes center stage as she sets out to solve an ancient Starfleet mystery. Let's find out a little bit more, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I'm Nathan.
No.
As always, if you want to skip ahead of our intro to our analysis, rating, or breakdown, check the chapter links below. So this episode is available on Paramount Plus on Thursday, February 5th, and runs about 58 minutes. The spoiler-free logline for this episode is, as a cadet sets out to solve an ancient Starfleet mystery, she embarks on a journey of self-discovery and learns the value of forging her own path. Meanwhile, Nala agrees to help a fellow chancellor with elaborate alien ritual.
Oh, this episode is titled Series Acclimation Mil. It is Sam's full designation, her actual name. So right from the jump, they're telling us that this is her episode. It's her story. This works because the whole episode is about Sam figuring out who she is beyond that designation.
Yeah, so this episode is directed by Larry Teng, a prolific television director known for his work on shows like SEAL Team, Supergirl, Hawaii Five-0, and Criminal Minds. He brings a steady hand to what is a very unconventionally structured episode. This episode is written by Kristen Beyer and Tawny Newsom. Beyer is a veteran Trek novelist and writer who worked extensively on Discovery, Picard, and Prodigy. She's one of the architects of the 32nd century Trek universe. Newsom, of course, voices Beckett Mariner on Star Trek Lower Decks and serves as a staff writer on this series and a producer. Potentially, as I mentioned in my review of the season, the first Star Trek actor to also write for a Trek show. All right, so Khandra, what did you think of this episode?
So this is, I think, a first for Trek. It's unlike anything we've seen before. The format is very different. Sam is essentially narrating directly to the camera, breaking that fourth wall. We see graphics and freeze frames and dance breaks. It's very stylized, and I think it was true to the personality that we've seen of Sam so far, and it's highly suggestive of what photonics think a 17-year-old female from Earth would be like. It's definitely, I think, a shout out to some teen movies. If you've seen The Kissing Booth, To All the Boys I've Loved, and even Enola Holmes came to mind in those breaks, in those moments. And at the heart of this episode, we see Sam grappling with what it means to be an emissary. Sam is sent from her homeworld cask to understand organics. And so she's trying to figure out what it means to have your whole existence predetermined by your creators. And what I like about this episode is that they use Benjamin Sisko's story as a mirror for that. Sisko was another emissary who struggled with duty versus personal choice. I thought the DS9 references were handled with real care and respect.
Yeah, so for me, this episode was a bit of a roller coaster. I'll be honest, the cold open with all the on-screen graphics, the scribbled text, the freeze frames, dance breaks, it felt very Gen Z or Gen Alpha, trying too hard to appeal to the TikTok generation. It really annoyed me and rubbed me the wrong way. Initially, it calms down after the cold open, though. And also, here's the thing. By the end of the episode, when you realize who Sam is talking to, because at the beginning of the episode, you think she's talking directly screen. She's not talking to us. It textualizes everything. This episode still has the fourth wall breaking graphics, which it seems to be to the audience, but her direct address makes sense in universe. And like you said, the way that they handle Sisko's legacy, the ambiguity that DS9 often had, all the nuance was shown here. So I think they really nailed it. So, yeah. So
ambiguity was something that DS9 was always comfortable with, right? In a way that other Trek shows really weren't. The Prophet's gods are aliens. Is Sisko dead or alive? I think going in, you expect maybe that they're going to give you an easy answer, but they don't. True to DS9 ethos.
Exactly. So, what would you rate Series Acclimation Mil, our fifth episode?
Yeah, this one was closer to an 8 for me. The DS9 love letter at the end really worked. I love that we got to see more of Sam and learn more about her and her purpose. And the special guest star towards the end was really touching. And then the subplot where you get to see the chancellors working together, also genuinely fun.
Yeah, so I'm at a 7, also dinner party. If you're unfamiliar with our scale, it's down below in the description. It almost dropped down to a 6 for me because of those graphics in that cold open. They really did lose me at the beginning, but the end pulled my rating back up. Like I said, the respect they showed to Sisko for the DS9 nuance storytelling, they didn't ruin DS9, which a lot of people online were really afraid that they would do when they saw that Sisko was in the trailer. The ambiguity that made the show special earned my goodwill back by the end. All right, now we're gonna start recapping and breaking down the episode to really talk about this. If you're enjoying the review so far, please like and share. It really helps the channel out. And with that, if you haven't seen the episode, go see the episode. Spoilers ahead.
Like I said, this episode opens unlike any Trek episode before. It's definitely an appeal to younger audiences. Sam speaks directly to the camera, and it's the pink markers replaced with a story about me, right? So we know this is all about Sam. We see her walk through the academy and being greeted by all of her friends. She has picked up a bunch of nicknames already: Samurai, Samburger, Samaroni, and her favorite is Occam's Queen, Samalina of Samita, with a bow and a forehead touch, right? They got their rich. I really loved this opening. It just shows how accepting they are and how much fun they're having with Sam and her openness to it. And so we see all these on-screen graphics that sort of help explain her situation. As we know, Sam is the first photonic being from Cask to attend the Academy, only created 217 days ago, and her makers sent her to understand organics because they don't trust them, right? Photonics were created by organics centuries ago and were abandoned, left on their own planet, and have since evolved into what we see today. And we see Sam explaining how difficult it is to understand organics, right? Because we are illogical beings. And one example of this is we see Darum into eating banana hash, and Sam explains that Kyonians can't process high potassium foods. Anything they eat with a lot of potassium, like bananas, immediately rots inside them. He eats this banana hash, right? Because it's what do they call it? A
Priority 1.
Priority 1 mission, right? So he has to complete the mission. He eats this hash and it has bananas in it. And then we learn something new about Kyonians is that when they vomit glitter, which I guess is nice, right? Although glitter is pretty difficult to clean up, but definitely probably gets everywhere. And then at this point, Sam, being the real world activity, sort of pauses around them and they get pulled into communication with her maker, and her maker is voiced by Chiwetel Ejiofor. They are demanding, controlling, they're unhappy with the progress that she's made. She's taking a musical collective, learning how to play the theremin, which is an electronic instrument, instead of focusing on her mission to understand organics. And Sam really struggles to explain the behavior of organics through some of their examples. The ongoing turf war between the Starfleet Academy cadets and the War College cadets. Kyle laughing with Jaden, so we see more hints of their connection. And Sam observing human behaviors like desire and asking awkward questions of everybody. Right? The makers are not accepting of all of this, or what they see as excuses, and they basically order her to enroll in a course called Confronting the Unexplainable immediately. And it's important to understand at this point, they're most of the way through this semester, so you can't just sign up for a course. And Sam enters a seminar classroom and sees a display called The Fate of Benjamin Sisko, Emissary of the Prophets. And we see Sisko in silhouette. And Sam has a sort of instant connection. Sisko is an emissary like her. Professor Isla, who appears to be Cardassian, explains that Sisko was instrumental in ending the Dominion War and discovered late in life that he was created by godlike aliens. And Sam decides that she wants to solve his mystery as her midterm project. But Professor Isla basically tells her it's too late to join the class. She can't do this. But it comes to a point where you don't do well with ambiguity, and tells her if she solves the mystery of the Sisko, she can teach the class. So Sam decides it's time to figure out what happened to Benjamin Sisko. And so there's a lot happening in this cold open. It's pretty busy. We see Sam's mission being set up, her relationship with her makers, the launching of this Sisko mystery. And you mentioned at the talk that the graphics and the breaks really got to you. Do you want to share some more about that?
About the graphics specifically?
Well, anything the open.
The graphics are probably going to make rewatching this annoying, but it's fine. It doesn't carry through the entire episode. There's only one other time that they actually do that on-screen graphic stuff after the open. But yeah, we do get a lot of setup here. Yeah, we got a reference to the Dominion War, which Professor Isla says that he ended, but he also started it. And then we're going to get some more references after the break. We got a reference to the prophets, and the Celestial Temple showed up a lot since the beginning of the show. But yeah, Ben Sisko is an awesome character in Trek. And like I said earlier when we did the spoiler-free review, they treat the legacy well in this episode. Yeah. It starts very busy. Maybe I'm just too old for who they're aiming that beginning at, but I'm glad if that's what they need to grab people who are younger so they actually go back and watch DS9 after this episode, that's good. Or we'll forgive it.
Yeah, I think they also have to walk a line, right? This is Starfleet Academy, so we're automatically dealing with a younger demographic of characters, which is a first on the whole. And so you do see them learning and just being immature and learning about themselves.
Right.
Where in other Trek, you heard about these stories in the episodes, their days at the Academy when they did their young, dumb things.
Dumb stuff, yeah.
Right, but now we're actually getting to see them live it. And so, yeah, they do have to walk this fine line, I think, between bringing that forward, but also seriousness of and the serious issues of Star Trek.
I will say that the young and dumb stuff that they're doing is more like high school dumb stuff than the young and dumb stuff that we heard about with like Picard and Kirk. And I guess that can be excused because she's supposed to be 16, and we find out with the flash of Darum, because Darum's got on my nerves again this episode with his nonsense. But when she was talking about his inability to eat bananas, we got a title card with all his stats, and he's 17. So I guess if he's 17, I'm going to forgive the stupid thing with the turf war. He's putting a line in the middle of this. It's like, honestly, that's maybe 12-year-old behavior, but whatever.
Well, but I also think that's just like teenage behavior, trying to stake your claim. Yeah. And we also have to remember they're at a time where Starfleet Academy has not existed for 100 years. And so I think wanting to establish some dominance, he seems to have been raised to be this star, best at everything. And so I think wanting to show up and be like, I'm going to excel at this. I'm going to be captain of the team and all of it. It's this bravado. It's interesting to see all of these personality traits or characters play out throughout it. It definitely adds a high school feel to it.
Yeah, and like I said, the references that we got before, we know that Picard got in a bar fight and almost died. So that's the sort of stuff that I was thinking was going to happen, like stuff that would happen to still young and stupid, but young and stupid 20-year-olds, as opposed to like the antics that you get into when you're in high school. And I think the only description that we get of Kirk when he was at the Academy is that basically he was a book with legs, which is so funny because their personalities are basically flipped when they get older. So yeah, on to Act 1. After the opening credits, Sam gathers her friends with a children's book about Sisko. She explains his story. Captain in Deep Space Nine, and based his role as Emissary, confronted the Pah-wraiths in the fire caves in 2375 and was never seen again. Akram reacts to the dark content in the book. This is a children's book? Damn, Bajoran kids don't play. The cadets debate what really happened. Jaden thinks he must be dead. Genesis says Starfleet considers him MIA. No body was ever found. Durham calls it Schrodinger's prophet, basically alive and dead. Caleb is cynical and says guys like this always end up dead for telling people what they don't want to hear. It's not a mystery. It's a story that people tell themselves to keep the monsters away at night. Akram suggests the Bajor Club because he's a joiner. Then we get on the next scene of Sam visits the Bajor Club and immediately commits a cultural faux pas. The Bajoran tries to read her pa by touching her ear, and she grabs his ear back thinking it's a greeting. She asks everyone to raise their hands if they've spoken to or seen the Sisko since he died, and calls their scriptures nonsense. This lands her in the Chancellor's office, which is what we get in the next scene. Ake explains that when she lived on Bajor, Sisko was like a god. Bajorans don't even show images of him anymore, which is why we've been seeing him in shadow all episode. They believe he's transcended human form. Sam, like a god, like a man, like a prophet. People believe all these things are true. Aki's advice. Questions reveal the most about the people who ask them. Keep asking, you might learn something about yourself. But Sam insists, this isn't about me, Chancellor. You have to know who you are to answer these questions. It's crucial, actually. Aki suggests the virtual Sisko Museum in New Orleans. So, We got a lot of references here, like at the beginning. Bajoran Pa, we saw those readings throughout the entire series. Little weird and very intimate thing that Bajorans would do as soon as they meet someone, just to see whether or not they were a good person. I'm not even sure how this works with a photonic being, but apparently she has a good paw. Got a reference to the fire caves, the very, very interesting ending to the end of the series DS9. Putting Sisko in shadow was a good choice because it makes sense if you think of him as a religious figure. The way that we treat religious figures, there definitely are religions on our planet where you can't have images of the figure. Like I'm thinking of Islam specifically, but I'm sure there might be other examples. But it also allows them to like respect Avery Brooks and not use his image all over the place, which is probably the other reason they did it. So it's interesting.
And also like over time, right? Like some of that gets lost to memory, even though they live in a time where it's really easy to record somebody's and preserve somebody's image. But I think withholding it gives it that added reference. Part of this act was interesting because for all of the knowledge that she's able to take in about organics, she still is unable to read a room, right? Because you can see faces of the Bajorans in the Bajoran Club as she is casually insulting them, calling their beliefs nonsense, and not understanding how disrespectful she's being. And it's a reminder, like, again, a lot of these, I was surprised, and I think earlier at the start of the episode, I thought was interesting. You hear Sam talking about how many different species Starfleet has encountered, and it's in the thousands. And you see some of those species, some iconic ones. I forget the name of the species, but the one with the white half face and the black half face that was a throwback.
From TOS, yeah.
From TOS.
Who should be extinct. They have to at some point address that because that episode, the point of that episode is that they killed each other off, but it's possible that they had people off the planet. If they were both traveling through space, maybe they had people off the planet, but they definitely need to not have her as background window dressing.
A couple of times now. Though.
Yeah, we need to have her actually speak in something because she comes from a very specific and important race.
But it's also, again, like a lot of them are meeting for the first, like this contact in many cases feels like first contact all over again because they don't know so much about each other.
This episode, we're not a Trek culture, so we're not going to do all the things that are in the background, but even in the cold open, there are a lot, like you said, there are a lot of races. Like they're representing not just people from races from the shows, but I saw like aliens that have only shown up in some of the movies, and they're definitely pulling from the galaxy.
And so then we move on to the subplot in this, and we see Chancellor Arcade discovering that the entire Academy power grid is down, and this is because Chancellor Kelrick is heating a lagoon in the Pacific Ocean using unauthorized alien tech for a visiting Chancellor and her fire eels. Chancellor Arcade seems to delight in antagonizing Chancellor Kelrick. She enters his quarters. He is visibly sweating and panicking about this dinner ritual that he has to perform, what lines to select, and all of this. He offers to help him. She has a lot of experience in hosting diplomatic dinners, and she just asks that he fixes the power and notes that his hand is very sweaty. Sam entering the virtual Sisko museum. She sees Sisko's uniform, learns about his love of baseball, which featured heavily in DS9, and finds the Bajoran orb. And she tries to use the orb to communicate with Sisko directly, introducing herself as a fellow emissary, asking how to become what her makers need her to be. And nothing happened. We're left wondering, you can't hear me, can you? And the orb goes dot. And Sam also comes across a recording of Jake Sisko. She finds Jake on the family tree, and there's some archival footage that plays. And so we see an adult Jake Sisko, played by Cirroc Lofton, and he's giving a lecture and answering the question, what made your father a great emissary? And Jake talks really about how he knew his father as a man, not as an emissary. He knew that he loved baseball. He was a man who would knock out a cue without thinking twice, and he knew that his father always championed him. So really just talking about the love that his father had for him, and Sam wishes that she could have known Jake Sisko. So here again, we have a lot of references. We see those Bajoran orbs that were important ways for communicating with the prophets in DS9. Sisko really loved baseball. There were episodes where we saw them playing, where baseball players came to life on DS9.
The Niners.
Niners, yeah. Sisko punched a Q, as we would all love to. Probably one of my most annoying characters in...
You told me that before. You don't like Q episodes.
At all. And I digress. And then we seen Jake Sisko, and this was a really nice moment because the last time we would have seen Cirroc Lofton was as a very young Jake Sisko. I forget the name of the actor who played an older Jake Sisko in DS9.
I thought it was Tony Todd.
Yes. So it was really touching to see them bring Cirroc Lofton to play this character.
And it still works. He played a much older version of Jake than this. Jake is 40, 50 at most. The one that he played was like in his 60s, 70s. So yeah, it was really cool to see Cirroc. I've seen him on the internet, but seeing him again as Jake it was a real treat. I think he knows what this show means to people, but beyond that, he knows what the father-son relationship means to a lot of people who didn't necessarily have that. So I think that he took on the role with the importance and gravity that you would expect for it. Not just this, but later on in the episode as well. Yeah, it was really good to see him. All right, then we get Act 3, the tomato revelation. Sam returns to Professor Isla, frustrated. She's processed every fact about Sisko, but can't solve the mystery. Isla brings up gumbo and the tomato debate. To tomato or not to tomato is a hot button issue in gumbo circles. Sisko grew tomatoes in his quarters. His choice to include them was one of the many that made him who he was. You're not going to solve this mystery with facts alone. Our choices determine who we are. What determines our choices? And Sam responds, what we love. In the next scene, Sam brings Sisko family recipes to her friends: gumbo, etouffee, aubergine stew. She needs them to describe the taste since she can't eat. Caleb offers to modify her programming. He accidentally gives her purple hair, a giant scarf, and a marching band in her head. Jaden discovers Jake Sisko was writing Anselm Bajoran for father, but no one knows if he ever finished it. The cadets decide to go to the Academy, a bar in roughly the same spot as the launching pad where Sisko used to hang out. The cadets make a cadet night out during midterms. In the middle of this conversation, Sam is summoned again to her mind's eye. Before leaving, they deliver an ultimatum to her. She has 1 week to demonstrate her value or be removed from the Academy permanently, with no further contact with organics. A countdown clock literally appears below Sam on screen. Sam is shaken. Her friends notice something wrong, but she insists. What happens in bars? I would very much like to find out tonight. So yeah, we actually got a chance to go to Sisko's Creole kitchen in the original series. Actually, it was during one of the better episodes when we had another rogue admiral. I'm pausing because it's unfortunately rhymed with things that are happening right now in our present. He created a situation where there was a lockdown and everyone was being harassed. And I remember the conversation that Sisko had with his father about being checked for blood, his rights being taken away. It's a really good episode. We also get a reference to Rock to Gino, which I don't know if we had a reference before DS9. Maybe there was a reference to it, but it's basically Klingon coffee. Jaden gets really excited about it, but he tastes her special brew and spits it out. And finally, we get the reference to Jake's book, which is going to come up later on in the episode. Anything else from this act that stood out to you?
Not really. I think you just see like some advancement. Sam's makers pull her out again and give her that ultimatum. And she really, in this short time, has become attacked. And you also see how much they love Sam, right? The threat of being pulled away from all of this and never having contact with organics again is really devastating, because she understands that the task that she's been given is not as simple as they think it is, right? They think for photonics, it's different. Their programming really straightforward, but organics are so different, right? So many different species, so many different cultural differences. So it's like, oh, it really, you see her being really shaken by it.
Yeah.
But then still being funny, because she's, I want to know what happens in bars, right?
Yeah. The only other thing I would say about this act is at the beginning where she bumps into Professor Isla. There are definitely hints for what we're going to find out later on. Just the way that, and not hints that you can pick up on even if you didn't know about the tomato thing. Sam tells you about the tomato thing later on, but just the way that she addresses Sisko as Benjamin every single time that she speaks about him is a hint early on.
Yes, so we move into the next act and we see Chancellor Ake and Calric, the doctor, and Reno basically doing a rehearsal for this Coda ritual, fish ritual that Ella has to perform. So you see this really ugly, like blob-like fish in the middle of the table. It's all puffed up and everybody at the table has assigned roles. Reno has to play both the Secret's Guardian and the Sacred Gift Pig and is absolutely thrilled to be there. And then you have the doctor who is basically won't be back on people's responses. And the species that Calric is hosting are the Alfarati, who are known for their strategic, prowess in battle. Knows his culture and notes that the Alfarati would find any laughter gravely offensive. During this ritual, Calric has to perform a musical number on a flute, right? And Chancellor is pretending to be Chancellor
Amal.
the Alfarati Chancellor. Beautiful Calric, really slow and loud, and you played many notes, is what Reno says. And then there's a moment where inexplicably the fish in the center of the table, Calric sits down and the fish just deflates and makes, it almost sounds like a whoopee cushion, deflates and he sits down and everybody laughs. But this man is wild, so tight. Takes it personally and is like, I should have known better. I was a fool to trust any of you. And they're like, it's just there. But what happens is what comes out, Calric sort of reveals that he's outraged at Chancellor Ake for having left Starfleet 15 years ago after the incident where she had to separate Caleb from his mother. And he accuses Ake of abandoning Starfleet. I mean, says to her, what's the point of such a long life if your memory is this short? And you can see that Ake is like taken aback by this accusation. And then we cut to the cadets at the bar. Caleb gives Sam the ability to feel drunk. He's explaining to her that every tap is a shot, and she quickly ramps it up to 12 shots. That is too many shots, right? So getting drunk for science. And then we see the Academy cadets run into some War College cadets, the same War College cadets that have been leading the pranks against them. And the bartender quickly accuses this. This is very dramatic and it means deep things for you all, but there are other people here trying to have a good night, have a shot, get over it. When Sam, she's badgering Caleb at the start of the episode. Basically, we can see that you like her, and this sort of continues in the bar. She wants to stop being a wimp-ass bird boy and to just talk to Terima, and she makes this sort of weird panini analogy. We all know you want to like smush, like the panini. So she's really intoxicated, obviously, right? So she's slapping butts, high-fiving folks, really living it up. And then we also see Jaden flirting with Kyle, and we've seen that they have some chemistry. We saw this started a couple episodes ago, and now it seems to be deepening. They're flirting over if they're prepared for their quantum chemistry exam tomorrow. And Jaden's, thank you, your bearing is also impressive. And we see in the back just what is happening, what is going on. So it's I thought it was an adorable moment between the two of them. With Jaden, you can tell Jaden doesn't quite get what's happening, and Kyle is quite clearly with him. And then Sam, who can obviously like read people's like signatures or whatever, and she's like, love, no one does love like organics, and just going on in a drunken person rant. And Caleb and Terima, this saga continues. They meet outside and their relationship is evolving and they kiss, right? So we see a shift there as well. Meanwhile, at the bar, Sam continues to have experiences and epiphanies, and she's like, the Sisko just wanted to be Ben, hang out with his friends and have a good time, be a good dad and all of that. Darum does not like Jaden and Kyle sort of interacting. It's time to go, you're slumming it. And the Vulcan cadet, you assume the Klingon is the one slumming it. And then Sam, of all people, is the one who starts the fight in the bar by punching one of the War College cadets, and it's like bar fight just like Sisko for the Emissary, and really showing why you shouldn't have 12 shots either virtually or in real life. And then Caleb and I hear the commotion, run back inside, and Caleb helps support the fight. And then you see that they are in the infirmary. The doctor is patching folks up. Others go but tells Sam to stay behind and expresses his disappointment. He didn't expect Sam or Photonic to start a fight. And they have a little conversation. Sam asks if he knew Captain Sisko. The doctor didn't, but his creator actually met Sisko. Dr. Louis Zimmerman met Sisko, and the doctor met Jake many years later. And Sam asked him, how would Jake bear losing his father? And the doctor's like, the same way we all learn to live with loss, you get over it and move on. And I thought here, It reminded me of the episode in Voyager where B'Elanna had programmed the Doctor to have a family, and he had a wife and 2 kids, and his daughter had an accident and died because the Doctor at that time was like expanding his cell line to feel the human experience, right? But he hadn't felt loss to that point, and he was play acting it, having this life. And so the Doctor has really experienced significant loss. And he's also been around for centuries at this point.
Yeah, I know that the show is supposed to be focused on the kids, but obviously they also focus on Aki a bit, focus on Doc and Reno. I'm not sure how deep they're going to get into their relationships, but he's 800 years old, and unlike humans where we forget things, he has digital memory.
Yeah.
So everyone who was on the Voyager ship is dead. Everyone that he's met over the last 800 years and started to love has died. We've seen them die. So he's definitely a lot more standoffish, more distant than he was at the end of Voyager. I think the compounding of losses has something to do with that. Definitely something is weighing on him that I want to see explored in a future episode.
You get the sense that he hasn't really gotten over it.
Yeah.
He hasn't about
No,
it.
because he has, like I said, digital memory. He can remember Janeway dying even though it was 800 years ago or 700 years ago, like it was yesterday, just like anything that happened to him yesterday. Yeah, I think that, yeah, it's definitely affecting him. And maybe even Sam and her people will have a solution because his program has been updated over the last 800 years since they evolved in a different way, have a solution for him so they can forget some things or they don't feel as permanent or indelible as his memory seems to be right now, because he's not dealing well. He's just being detached and distant from everyone. Yeah, and then we get more of the Kyle and Jaden romance, which I'm sure is going to annoy a lot of people, but no one who's an actual fan, just people who like to complain about Trek on the internet. And we get a little bit more with the romance between Caleb and Tarima. And I am with Sam on this. Just have the relationship. Their back and forth is super annoying. Just have the relationship. Yeah. All right, so now we're in Act 5. So Ake lies barefoot on the table lift bench while Carrick stands awkwardly. Ake addresses his accusation. I understand why you feel I abandoned Starfleet. You've had to live in absolutes, but if you make a judgment without context, you'll have a hell of a time getting people to trust you. Carrick softens and asks, how bad was my flute? It responds, it was rough, man. Their dynamic is growing. Not friends, but at least there seems to be like a mutual respect developing there. Sam returns to Professor Isla, thinking she failed, but Isla has something, a manuscript of Anselm. Drake never published it. It was one of many ways he kept Benjamin close. Sam reads via pawn in the atrium. The words spill out as she reads. Jake's voice begins. Why did it have to be him? Why couldn't the prophets have chosen someone else as emissary? Seems like Sam has a vision, or maybe the book has some sort of like photonic technology from Jake's time, but Jake appears to Sam. Cirroc Lofton, older and wiser. Is this really Jake? Technology in the book. Sam's projecting. In true DS9 fashion, it's really ambiguous. Jake says, I didn't realize until now that who he was as my father is inseparable from who he was as an emissary. There was no one else to do what he did. He chose and was chosen all at once. Sam says, sorry you lost your dad. I think the prophets are jerks. Jake defends them. Without them, he doesn't exist, and neither do I. The key revelation. Jake shows Sam the Khandra Valley on Bajor, land Sisko bought to build a house for his family. He left before he could, but right before that, the prophets told him that if he married Cassidy, he would know nothing but sorrow. Jake, he thought about what they said and married her anyway. He did what the prophets needed, but he did it his way. Those last few months with Cassidy and me, the best we ever had as a family. Prophets were wrong sometimes. As much as they taught him, he taught them to by staying true to himself. Sam, I don't think I could be Cass' emissary. And Jake responds, everyone makes sacrifices. My father saved billions of people. Sometimes lose-lose is actually win-win. You are enough. My dad told me that so many times. I wish I listened to him sooner. So yeah, this is part of the reason this episode got pulled up, even after how I was annoyed by the beginning. This is a really touching scene, and I enjoy the ambiguity around it, because around the same time that Jake lived, the doctor said he knew him. So the same holographic technology he could have put into the book is also possible she was having a vision.
And I think it came across that way, or at least some sort of tech that interacts with the person using it, because he refers to her, he says, "Hey, Sid." And it was so welcoming. Like,
Yeah.
it was not a generic hello. Like, he was really seeing Sam. And so
It also interacts with the book, but
Right,
again,
also-
all this could have been in her head. So,
exactly.
yeah.
So you don't know, you have that ambiguity. And yet I think it was nice to get a sense that Jake had come to some sort of peace with what happened with Benjamin Sisko. That was a good resolution, right? For those of us who have feelings about how Wolf 9 ended.
Yeah, good to hear that he did make peace with it. It's also nice to hear that he had kids of his own and he was able to pass on some lessons and the same kind of love that he learned from his father. It was great, really great. Yeah, we got a couple references here. Khandra Valley definitely came up on the show that he bought a tract of land just before he went to those Friar caves that was in the DS9 finale arc. Cassidy Yates, who was Sisko's second wife after Jake and Ben lost his first wife in the beginning of the series. She had an interesting arc throughout that show. She was actually in jail for a little while. So yeah. And then we get another You Are Enough reference, which echoes of what Thar, I think last week we were saying, like I said, you get these screeners without subtitles. I think his name is actually not Dar, it's Thar with a TH. Basically what Thar told Jaden in the last episode. So yeah. It was nice, really nice.
And so in the final act of this episode, we see Sam talking to Professor Isla, who gave her the book Ansel, and she reveals, or we have a moment where Professor Isla tucks her hair behind it, and Sam sees troll spots. So she is a part troll, part Cardassian, and has her realization. She's like, wait, Isla isn't a surname, is it? And Professor Isla tells her to sign up for the course. In the next semester, you will find it in the course catalog under my full name, Isla Dax. And wait, you're Dax, the Dax, as in mentor to Sisko, Dax, and obviously friend to Sisko, because the Dax symbiont was Curzon Dax as his mentor, and then Jadzia Dax. And Isla Dax said, as Benjamin would have liked you, he loved people who got into trouble for the right reasons. And so next, we see Sam becoming more confident, right? And she contacts her makers, right? Now she's filled with confidence, and she basically gives her makers her own ultimatum. She doesn't know if organics can be trusted, but she knows that she can be trusted. She tells them that their behavior, referring to organics, their behavior can't be explained or predicted by an algorithm because their purpose is not understanding, it's becoming. And she tells them she will report when there's something to report. Makers threaten her again. If you disobey us, you will have failed. She's no, I succeed, I'll be on my own terms, and I can live with that. That's why I'll succeed. And then she cuts the connection with. And so we see some growth in Sam in this episode. And so it closes, it's I'm playing the theremin and explaining why she chose this instrument. There has no strings, no keys, technically speaking. Technically speaking, she has no body, but it creates its own unique kind of music, what an emissary does, right? It is music that inspires hope, love, connection, and that builds bridges. And we finally understand who Sam has been talking to this entire episode, and that's Benjamin Sisko. We see montage of Sam throughout, having fun with her friends, and then Kyle and Jaden dancing together at the bar. And this realization, so she says to Sisko, I'm not sure if it matters to you that who you were, who you became, and the mystery of your fate changed the life of a girl who wouldn't even know your name some 800 years after you vanished, but that's happened. And she expresses gratitude for his life, his son, and for being a great father, and says everyone should have a dad like you. If you ever want to talk, I am here, Benjamin. And then Sam walks away, and we get to hear Avery Brooks's voice, Benjamin Sisko, speaking to us, and closes out with saying that divine laws are simpler than human ones, which is why it takes a lifetime to be able to understand them. Love can understand them. Only love can interpret these words as they were meant to be interpreted. And they close with a thank you, Avery, and they play the DS9 theme over the credits. And I have to say, the DS9 theme is probably my favorite Star Trek Trek theme. And so this was definitely, I liked the episode going in, and the way this ended just felt really special.
They really stuck the landing on this episode. Yeah, great ending. I don't know if what they took was something that he said in an episode, something that he said and they didn't use in an episode. I doubt that Avery came back because I think he's pretty much retired, but it was great to hear his voice again. And it's really great to hear the theme again at the end of the episode. So we get the revelation that Dax is still alive.
It's still pretty old for a Trill even.
Yeah, because it was already pretty old. It had that episode where Dax was confronting all the previous lives, and there were like 7 of them. So it's a pretty old symbiote. But that opens that possibility that we can hear from Dax again in a future episode. I can't be mad at it. If I'm in the writer's room, I'm gonna write myself as Dax too. I'm gonna write myself in the episode, and you know who I'm gonna be? I'm gonna be Dax. It's very, very cool. I look forward to seeing her again. Hopefully they work her in again in a future episode. Yeah, it ended up being a pretty special episode. Just like I said, the way that they handled DS9 and Sisko specifically. I agree with Sam. Everyone should have a dad like Benjamin. Who's a great example in the 90s. Any final thoughts about the episode?
Yeah, I think this episode really, you see them definitely reaching out into this young adult format. And it occurred to me, and I don't know, we haven't really talked about this before, but Sam is that character we see throughout Trek series where you have a character that is not or entirely expressing like the full range of certainly human emotions, right? And this is that character. So I definitely expect to see more exploration of what it means to be, right? Questions of identity, self-determination, we're going to see all that through Sam. But in this episode, you really see them exploring through the lens a previous Star Trek character, right? And I think they executed it extremely well with it. And then getting to see Cirroc Lofton come back as Jake Sisko again was really thrilling, and just showing that maturity, the growth in how they feel about their father's situation. So this was, I think, definitely of the 5 episodes for me, it's another solid episode of storytelling and a little bit of character development.
Yeah, I've already said that like the beginning is a little put me off a bit, but like I said, for most of the episode I enjoyed it, and the ending was just like they stuck to the landing with really great respect to Sisko, DS9 legacy, Avery Brooks specifically, with the thank you Avery at the end, in all the aspects of why people like that character, the man he was as a leader, as the religious icon, as the father. They really touched on all the reasons why he was revered in universe and also outside of universe and by viewers. It's interesting to see the relationships between the people, the kids, advance a bit in this episode as well, because you see a lot of these relationships evolving over episodes, and you're starting to actually invest a bit in all of them. Even the relationship between Kelrick and Aki, I'm glad that's thawing a bit as well in this episode. But that is what we think about this episode, but we would like to hear what you guys think. Did the Coda Open work for you better than it did for me? What did you think of the Isla Dax revealed and Cirroc Lofton coming back as Jake Sisko? And how are you feeling about the show's treatment of DS9's legacy? If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like and share. It really helps the channel out. And please subscribe for more in-depth analysis of film and TV. And hit the bell notification for our next breakdown next week. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Yeah.